Hello again, everybody, and welcome to the Mike Francesa podcast. We're on the Mike Francesa channel on the Bet Rivers Network, on YouTube, on this Monday evening after what was a just awful game two for the Knicks. 100-94 loss. You know, we can boil it down to so many things, and there's going to be a lot of people taking beatings for this game, but they were down 8 again, the Knicks, after the third quarter. You knew they'd make a run, and the Pistons again had trouble executing, except they did make just enough plays. And what they sought out to do was go at Brunson defensively whenever they could. And Schroeder's not afraid to take a big shot. They needed somebody else to make and knock down a shot. He did after the Knicks tied it at 94. And the Knicks just could not. Well, first of all, let's go to the bigger picture here. The Knicks aren't just trying to beat the Pistons here. The Knicks are trying to make a run in the playoffs this year. And if that's going to be the way they execute their offense, they won't make a run against a good team ever. Now, the Pistons are just learning. They're babies. They got a couple of veteran players, okay, who are role players. The Tobias Harris and Hardaway and Beasley. They don't have that second player yet. They'll get him. They have a wonderful player in Cunningham who had a superb game tonight. But they are not a big-time playoff opponent, nor should they be, despite their physicality. And they beat the Knicks up on the backboards tonight, 48-34. They out-rebounded them on the offensive glass. Knicks didn't rebound. I got to figure that's why Towns was sitting those minutes, is because Tibbs was mad that he wasn't rebounding. I'll get to Towns' game because it was abominable. I've talked about Bridges getting the ball. He didn't make any of the 4 shots he got when he got the ball late in the game. Any one of them could have given the Knicks the lead and the win. Brunson didn't make his last big threes. But this is not an offense. You can't play this way. There is so much wrong with this game offensively. First of all, the Knicks are better when they move the ball with this team, when they push the ball. They much better in the open floor when everybody's involved. And the problem with this offense is, if this offense is just going to be Brunson bouncing the basketball for 15 seconds, and then if he's double teamed somebody, he'll flip a pass to somebody and hope they hit a long three. Or he's going to find a way to get to the foul line, dive against the guy and get 3 shots, flop to the ground. How many times in one night is Brunson on the ground? 32? I mean, it's not appealing basketball. It's all about Brunson. Why do you think the other teams think he flops? He's on the ground the whole game. That's half the Knick offense. Find a way for Brunson to either get an off-balance shot and knock some of them down. He takes a million shots, or get him fouled, or let him somehow initiate contact and sucker a guy into foul shots, which he did 2 or 3 times down the stretch, including Tobias Harris, who we really initiated the contact there. The bottom line is, if that's going to be your offense, 4 guys standing around watching Brunson, you're never going to beat a good team. You're never going to beat the Celtics. You're never going to beat Cleveland. You're never going to beat anybody who can play. Because they're not going to get beat in the half court by Brunson, by himself. It's not going to happen. How tonight, against that team, with Stewart out, how can Tibbs be there, be coaching that game, and not get the ball in the low box to Towns at some point? Towns did not score he had 8 points in the first quarter. He had 10 points in the game. He did not score a point the rest of the game. He never got the ball in a good position. The shots he did get were hurried or off balance, and he missed them. They never, ever set him up to get the ball in a good spot. Not one time. Did Payne get hurt and I don't know about it? Why does he get 4 minutes of play tonight in this game? After what he did in that game on Saturday, why would he get 4 minutes of play in this game tonight? Makes absolutely no sense. And the stagnant 4 guys watching 1 guy play basketball is not an offense. I don't care what your name is, and Brunson is not Michael Jordan. Okay, he's an effective scorer. He is a cunning player. He is a very shrewd player. But a lot of what he does is got to be him initiating contact, flopping, head fakes, bouncing. He's on the floor the whole game. That is not an offense. And if these guys aren't going to touch the ball and then you're going to throw it to them in big spots at the end of the game when they haven't had anything to do with the offense the entire second half, they're not going to make the shots. I'm not vindicating Bridges. He had open looks and he didn't knock them down. I expect more from him. But he had 19 points and he didn't touch the ball for about 15 minutes of action before he got the ball 4 times late in the game. 3 on threes and once on a drive, and he missed all 4. That was a terrible job by him. He's got to knock those shots down. He's better than that. He didn't. Towns' game, I know he wanted to pull Towns out of that game because he wasn't rebounding. I know he did, but you know what? He couldn't. And Towns, after 3 quarters, had played 21 minutes. He wasn't in foul trouble. He played 21 minutes. He wound up with 10 points. He had 8 points 5 minutes into the game. He wound up with 10 against a team that doesn't have a way to defend that. Listen, Durham's a tough guy. He's not going to keep Towns from scoring. They have to be more efficient with the offense. It can't be 4 guys watching Brunson bounce the ball in the half court. I mean, this was deplorable tonight, and they almost pulled it out. If Brunson had made the 3rd free throw, they could have pulled it out. If Hart had gotten fouled, now remember, there was contact all over the place tonight. So Hart not getting a foul, and the Knicks whine too much for my taste. You know what? They beat people up. The other team's beating them up. Don't be whining about every call. You know, he's over there with 10 seconds left, still complaining about the fact he got fouled on the play. Everybody gets fouled. You guys beat the heck out of Cunningham all night. They're letting you play. That's fine. The Knicks are not at a big disadvantage when that's the case. But the problem is Towns is not a rebounder in these spots. He's not a tough guy rebounder. He's a finesse player, but you didn't utilize his offensive prowess at all. This is an efficient offensive player who never saw the ball. What do you want the offense where you got a guard dribbling the ball in the middle of the floor as the shot clock winds down, and your center who averages 23 points a game is standing in the corner with his arms folded? This game just made no sense so many times. It's just, listen, I'm not one to pick on Tibbs a lot. The guy develops players very well. He usually does a very good job defensively, although this team is not to his defensive liking. You don't have a rim protector. You don't have a way to keep people out of the paint. You don't have big-time rebounders. They don't have an offensive player who is going to move the ball through the way it moved through last year. They're not last year's team. I've been telling you that. They can be efficient when you use them properly. But if it's going to be 4 guys standing around watching Brunson play, it's not going to work, even if it still stands. And I think they'll win this series. Like I said, I expect them to play just as well in Detroit as they do. As a matter of fact, what good has the Garden been? They've been down 8 points in 2 games at home. So there hasn't been any home court anyway for the Knicks. They've been down 8 points twice. If you're the Pistons, you're going home thinking you can win this. But the Knicks will play well in Detroit, I have no doubt. But they can't play their offense that way. That cannot be how they play. The idea that Payne never got a chance to play in the 4th quarter of that game makes absolutely no sense. Unless he was hurt, and I didn't stay around to listen for Tibbs because I didn't feel like listening to him. But I'll tell you something. How he played 4 minutes tonight after what he did in game 1, I have just no idea. No idea. I mean, Towns' game is utterly atrocious. He played 33 minutes. He had 10 points. He had 6 rebounds. He didn't get an offensive rebound. He didn't get to the foul line. He didn't get an assist. He didn't get a steal. He got 1 block. That game is an embarrassment. And I blame him and I blame the coach. But if you're going to make all these guys, and that includes OG, and that includes Hart, and that includes Bridges, and that includes Towns, if you're going to make them stand around and watch Brunson dribble the ball, back and forth, side to side, head fake, dive, fine. He's going to score points. He takes 30 shots. He's going to score points. Anybody takes 30 shots is going to score points. And he's half the time he's got to suck the guys into the get to the foul line, which he did 11 times tonight. He turned the ball over 6 times. That's not an offense. They might not beat the Pistons playing that way, and they'll never beat anybody else playing that way. Before the playoffs started, I told you this is not the same team. They don't have the ability to protect the rim. They don't have the rebounding prowess they had in the past. That stuff is gone. They have to take advantage of what they are and who they are. That means turn people over in the middle of the court, trap people, get the game up tempo, spread the floor, and utilize the ability these players have. If you're not going to do that, if you are not going to do that, it's not going to work. You got to get offensive players the ball where they can utilize it. I mean, the Knicks scored 94 points. They scored 42 points or 44 points in the second half. I think it was 42. 45. They scored 40 in the fourth quarter the other night. Walking up the floor, Brunson with the ball. We're going to wait. We're going to wait. We're going to wait. If a double team comes, we'll throw it over here, and somebody will launch a off-balance 3, and maybe it'll go in. All right, they shot 28% from 3, and that includes the gift that McBride hit, that he banked in, that gave them some momentum. It was a prayer. And Obi hit a prayer. He hit a prayer. Without a couple of prayers, they wouldn't even have been in the game. It was a miracle they got the game to 94 up the way they played. And then what happened at 94 up? They couldn't execute a play. Bridges got an open 3. He missed it. Brunson missed a foul shot. All right, he was 9 of 11 on the foul line tonight, but the one he missed was a big one. They got the game to 94. They gave Schroeder an open look for a 3. He knocked it down. That guy's not going to be afraid. He's not. The Pistons just, with Cunningham, who had 33 points and 12 rebounds. 33 points and 12 rebounds. All they need is one guy to step up. And tonight, Schroeder had 20 points. 20 points. Because whoever Brunson's gone, they're going to try and take advantage of him. And Schroeder's not afraid. He's not afraid to put a shot up. He scored 20 points on 10 shots. Okay? Brunson scored 37 points on 27 shots. And had 6 turnovers. 6 turnovers is going to kill you. And not only that, the stagnation of the other guys, they're not ready to make a big play. I mean, How many times tonight did we watch them come down the floor in the second half and Towns stand 35 feet, try to set a feeble pick 35 feet from the didn't even set a good screen, okay? Or stood in the corner with his arms folded. Never got an offensive rebound. Not one. You think one would fall in his arms? Not one. Did not score. Tibbs took him out of the game in the first quarter. 5 minutes in. I thought it was a quick pull. I thought maybe it was because he didn't like the way he was rebounding, and he was mad about that. At halftime, Tibbs was like, we got a rebound, we got a rebound. So I thought that might have been why he was on him. And they weren't rebounding the balls they should have rebounded. Maybe, I don't know if that's the case. I was like, wow, that's a quick. He came out, he was in the offense, he was in the flow. He had 8 quick points. He took them out and sat him the rest of the first quarter. He only scored 1 basket in the second quarter. He scored it on a dunk. And then he did not score again in the game. He played the entire fourth quarter and did not score a point. Not 1 point. And the offense is, hey, we know Brunson's either going to keep it, bounce it, shoot it, try to sucker a guy into getting fouled, or if he gets doubled early enough, he'll flip it off to somebody and try and hoist the late 3. That's not an offense. Why you would not put Towns down in the low box and try and get him the ball in the second half of that game absolutely boggles my mind. Why you would not give Payne a chance to play in that game absolutely boggles my mind. I don't get it. And I'm telling you, if that's going to be the way they want to play offensively, just go home now. Why have the Celtics beat the heck out of you in the next round? You're not going to beat a good team that way. They haven't beat a good team all year. You're not going to beat a good team unless you play to your talent. And having those guys stand around watching him play is not going to work. Because they're not good enough on the backboards. They're not good enough as rim protectors. They don't protect the rim. They're not good enough on the backboards. And they're not good enough anywhere unless they utilize their ability in the open floor and utilize the ability that they have offensively with Towns and with Bridges and with OG. If you're going to turn those guys into nothing but guys standing around, it's not going to work. Not going to work. It's not going to work. It didn't work tonight. It's not going to work in the next game. It's not going to work in the next round. It's not the way to play this game. And tonight it was, hey, did they have a chance? Yes. Did they have a chance to pull the trigger? Yeah. They had a chance to steal the game. They did. They got it to 94, and then Schroeder hits the 3. Okay, if you watch that play, you'll see exactly why he hit the 3. And then they come down off that, and Brunson misses a 27-footer. And then they get the ball to Bridges after a miss. Beasley misses a shot. He didn't have a good game tonight. And then Bridges has a shot he needs to make, and he misses. The next thing you know, Schroeder makes 1 or 2, and the game's over. Brunson comes off the timeout, gets a wide open look. He's probably exhausted by then. He's been on the floor more times than you can count. He's tangled up with everybody on every play because he's trying to create contact on every play. And he misses an open 3. I'm not knocking him for missing a 3. Anyone can miss a 3. Do I expect more from Bridges in those spots? Yes. But it would have been nice if Bridges had touched the ball for the 15 or 16 minutes that ensued before that. And forget that it's unappealing for them to play this way. It's just wrong. Now, this series is 1-1, and it's not a big deal. They can go to Detroit, turn the series right back in their favor. But if they're going to play offense that way, okay, if they're going to play offense that, and they can let Cunningham go in the first half and then play him differently in the second half. He didn't kill them in the second half. And he didn't have a lot of assists tonight. Remember, he had 12 assists in game one. This game, he had 2 assists. This game, he was out there to score. And he likes this. He relishes this. He's playing to the crowd. He's the whole thing. He enjoys this. He came off game one. He wasn't disillusioned. He said, hey, I love this stuff. Let's go. I want to play again. He's hungry, that kid. He wants to prove he's the best. That's good. He's a heck of a player. But they can beat the rest of that team. But this game was gift wrapped right back to them again. They had a chance to win this game in the final minutes and really steal, just absolutely steal a game they shouldn't have won. And that would have completely demoralized this team. To lose 2 of those with 8-point leads, they would not believe they could play in the fourth quarter again in this series. That would have been it. But now they'll go back home with a pocket full of confidence. That's fine. But I'm looking at the big picture now. And if Tibbs is going to coach them this way, and they're going to play this way, it doesn't make any difference. They're not beating anybody who's any good anyway. This was an absolute abomination. Absolute, just hard to watch. This was an absolute offensive nightmare. They deserve to lose. Bad game for Towns. A horrific game for Towns. Bad game for Tibbs. And I'm not throwing bouquets to anybody. Hey, Brunson does what he's supposed to do or what he thinks he's supposed to do. I've said at the start of this series, they need, with this group, Brunson to be less scorer and more playmaker. Either they don't have any interest in that or he doesn't have any interest in that. But if they continue to play it the way they're playing, they are going nowhere. We'll see you tomorrow.